Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two intriguing Formula One fans. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your Hotel California host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the 1977 season, part 4. So let's go. You know who sang that, right?
That is the
song.
Eagles.
Yes, very good. Wow, all by yourself. No Google, no nothing.
No, nothing.
Is that in Queen category? I think Queen you get very quickly and ABBA you get very quickly.
Yes, I think Hotel California is a big Eagles song, isn't it? So probably their biggest, don't you reckon?
Yeah, it's probably their most legendary.
Yeah, the Eagles is the most legendary song for them.
But remember last season, the 76 season, I used Life in the Fast Lane. That was the Eagles too.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is less. I should have picked this for the US Grand Prix one. Instead, it's a segue into Belgium.
Yeah, it is. We do change these stops though in like quite randomly as well. Like it's hard to predict how long we'll talk for on something. So
we just stop at roughly the 30-minute mark, and sometimes it goes out of sync. Not that you can use that as an excuse, maybe, but not in this instance.
Yeah, no.
So should we get on with it? Race 7, Belgium Grand Prix. So 7 of 17. So it's a long season, this one. Well, I think one of the longest so far. Have we had 17 races before? Yes, I don't think so.
Oh, interesting.
So this is not at Spa. This is at Zolder again. I think we made a big deal about Zolder for 76, but it's back-to-back now. We know Spa comes back. It's June the 5th, 70 laps, and the weather was cold and mainly wet. So 32 drivers turned up to vie for the 26-car grid. And in the words of Mike Lang, already a rather dreary place in many people's minds, Zolder was not at all inviting as everyone prepared for the opening practice session on Friday morning.
Gee,
how's
Mike, that's some fighting words there. Wonder why it was not all inviting. Anyway,
I wonder if he's got shares in the Spa circuit and he's wanting Spa to come back and make his money.
Is it because it was wet? Maybe that's why it wasn't as inviting as normally dreary place. But all right, Mike, get it. You don't like Zolder. So on the first day of practice, it was clear that Andretti in his Lotus was really hooked in, and he set the fastest time in the morning in the dry session. The afternoon was wet, so no real competitive times were set.
And the weather did improve on Saturday, and in the morning untimed session, Nielsen had an engine issue, so he had to revert to the spare car for the all-important afternoon session. And I mentioned Nielsen because Nielsen is Andretti's teammate in the Lotus.
Yes, and we're hoping that nothing goes wrong with Andretti's car because otherwise Nielsen will have to give up the spare for Andretti. Andretti picked up where he left off earlier and he was on another planet in terms of lap times, so much so that when Andretti's best time of 1 minute 24.64 was announced, there was shock and he was over 1.5 seconds faster than second place, who was Watson in the Brabham Alpha. This reminds me of when everyone thought there was an error with the timekeeping. Remember that?
Yeah. But in this case, they were just shocked at the pace of Andretti.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And that Lotus giving ominous warnings. I mean, Andretti did win 2 races in a row.
Yes.
Before this one. So many of our regular contenders were having a very tough time of it. So Lauda was struggling with his oversteering Ferrari, and I think he qualified 11th. Is that, maybe I've got a typo there? And the championship leader, Jody Scheckter, in that new Wolf, could only muster up 4th. So even Nielsen in the spare Lotus, he managed to secure 3rd. So look at this, that Lotus.
Yes. Well, that new invention of theirs, or their new innovation, not an intervention, is really paying off for them. When it came to race day, many hoped for rain. It was felt that this was the only chance they would have to take on the dominant Lotus, especially in the hands of Andretti.
And these drivers' wishes came true because just before race start, rain had finally arrived, which now caused quite a bit of indecision as to which tyres to race in. And eventually all the drivers switched to wet tyres as it was considered the rain was not super heavy.
What? That doesn't make sense. If it was not super heavy, they switched to wet tyres.
I wonder what I meant.
Interesting.
Let's just see how this
Yeah.
lands out. Okay.
Yeah,
I
okay.
wonder if that meant to. There must have been a lot of switching going on, is all I can say. I'm sure this will come out in the wash. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunt was the only driver to stay with his dry weather tyres because he thought the rain was not super heavy. So when the red light changed to green, Watson made up for his slow Monaco start by jumping into the lead with Andretti following.
And following he did, but he did a bit too well because at the first chicane under braking, Andretti smashed into the rear of Watson's Brabham. Remember he drove into the back of Reutemann as well?
Reutemann, yes.
That car's too fast even for him. And the two front row drivers were spinning into the sand, both out. How's that for a start?
Wow. So Nielsen took to the outside of the track to avoid the carnage, which allowed Scheckter to charge through into the lead from his fourth place starting position.
And behind these two were Mass, Reutemann, Depailler, Lafitte, Peterson and Lauda.
So as the race progressed, Scheckter, with a clear track in front of him, pulled away, and by lap 10, the conditions were starting to improve. But still, many drivers were having a tough time staying on the track.
I just feel Andretti really blew it, didn't he? He had this race. He was so fast. So the strong wind was quickly drying out the track and many of the drivers were starting to dive into the pits for dry weather tyres. That must have been what I meant before.
Yeah, okay.
That they were mostly on wets, except was it Hunt that went on the dries? The rush to the pits created a great deal of confusion.
Then on lap 17, with a 20-second lead, Scheckter surprisingly spun off. Oh, was he still on wets or dries?
Yeah,
and by the time
know.
he recovered back on the track, he was down in 8th place.
I
All
suspect
right. Well, now
not. I
Schecter's
suspect not.
blown it.
Yeah. He rejoined right behind Lauda, who, in the words of Mike Lang, had just completed a lightning quick 17-second pit stop.
Wow, that is big. I mean, usually they've been around 30 seconds. So maybe Ferrari put more people around the car, Louis. Maybe that's where we're seeing actually 2 people per tyre now instead of 1 person per tyre. So we now have Nielsen in the Lotus leading. Interesting. But he too was yet to stop for dry tyres. And when he did, Mas inherited the lead until he too stopped soon after. Then for 4 laps, the amazing happened.
Yes. None other than Brambilla, Mike Lang's least favourite driver, led for 4 laps. So eventually all of the drivers pitted and the washout was that Lauda was now leading the race due to his very fast pit stop, followed by Mass, Jones, who also benefited from a fast stop. Brambilla was next, Scheckter, Lafitte, Peterson and Nielsen.
So I think, Louis, this is the first, maybe not the first time, but this is one of the very few times that we're hearing now that the racing is actually influenced by the speed of the pit stops.
Yeah, because Lauda was like in 5th or something and now he's in the lead.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we've heard of botched up pit stops and we've heard of badly timed pit stops, but this is the first time we're hearing of a pit stop having like significant influence on the grid.
In terms of not being based on an issue with a car.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it's an interesting call out. Yeah.
So Nielsen had a very bad pit stop. There you go. Due to troubles with his front wheel nut. Yeah, so we've heard that lots of times, haven't we? On lap 29, Lauda's lead became much safer when Mas had a spin, and it was about this time that the rain returned. Even Lauda got caught out and spun. While still leading, he seemed much less secure in the race.
The conditions were very interchangeable, weren't they? So most of the attention was now switching to Scheckter's comeback drive as he had caught Jones and Brambilla and passed them both by lap 30. And then Nielsen got involved in the battle. And in fact, Nielsen was on a great charge because on lap 33, he passed Jones, then Brambilla, and he was up to 3rd. And that's when Scheckter decided to pit again back to wet weather tyres. So obviously the conditions were changing back again.
That was a big call.
Yeah.
So most of the other drivers decided to stay out on the semi-wet track with their dry tyres. And it was Mas who lost out as he spun on lap 40. This promoted Nielsen up to 2nd place, albeit now quite a distance behind the leading Ferrari of Lauda.
And so as the race progressed, Nielsen was relentless and he was cutting Lauda's lead by seconds per lap until lap 49 with the track drying out again. Nielsen was right on Lauda's tail. He didn't wait long, for he quickly outbraked Lauda and simply started pulling away.
Wow, the McLaren. That's in the McLaren, isn't it?
No, that's in the
Oh, sorry,
Lotus.
in the Lotus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from this point on, over the remaining 20 laps, Nielsen pulled away to win his first ever Formula One race by over 15 seconds from Lauda. That's quite an achievement.
Yeah, Lauda's on that Ferrari is a good car.
That's right. So this kind of disproved the theory that it was just Andretti being able to drive the Lotus. Everyone now thought Lotus had a great car. It was proved.
Yeah. Peterson finished 5 seconds behind Lauda in third place, while Brambilla finished fourth, having earlier passed Peterson for third, but he spun and had to be content with fourth.
Jones,
and I don't recall Mike Lang saying anything about it, but I'm sure he thought it if he didn't say it.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, Jones, our Aussie mate, did really well to finish fifth in the shadow.
How many points is that guy getting for this team?
I know.
So look at that.
Yes.
Andretti, he should have won this if Nielsen was going to win it. Andretti was going to win it. But anyway.
So to the standings, we've got Scheckter in first on 32, Lauda second on 31, then a little bit of a gap, Reutemann third on 23, and Andretti fourth on 22. But yeah, he could have been right up there. What is it? Is it 9? What is it? 9 points for a win? Yeah. So on the constructors, we've got Ferrari on 46. Lotus has jumped into second place now on 33, and Wolf is on 32.
Okay. So now we're up to race 8 of 17, the Swedish Grand Prix at Anderstorp. June 13, 72 laps, and the weather is warm and dry. So the Swedish race organisers were thrilled that Swede Nielsen won his first race ever in the Belgium race we just went through, and that Peterson was showing some improved form because his best result of the season so far, he came third in the last race. So this would surely counter the decline in crowds for the previous 2 to 3 Swedish Grand Prix. And let's not forget that Sweden did win the 76 Swedish Grand Prix in that blue and yellow Tyrrell.
Yellow Tyrrell, yes, which teenage Luigi thought was really, really good. Well, I'm just going to put out there. I don't think the dwindling crowds get any better because I don't see Sweden on the Grand Prix calendar
anymore.
Okay. And probably not for quite some time. I actually don't remember in the 80s that much.
No, I don't think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Swedish crowd probably lose some interest after certain things happen, I think. So the drivers were mixed about this track. With its long radius turns, it tended to create handling problems. So surprise results were generally on the cards.
And interestingly, Goodyear turned up with a range of Goodyear tyres as they knew that the Michelin-shod Renault team were coming. This gave the Goodyear teams more complexity, as in which tyres to use, as well as setting their cars up for this tricky track. So this isn't the first time we've heard about different types of compounds, but it's still in its infancy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I sort of miss, we don't have any tyre wars anymore, and I kind of miss the tyre wars. I like that era of different teams using different tyres and all the drama that bring and the development of tyre compounds. We kind of don't see that anymore.
No, we don't.
I think.
And isn't it cool that Renault were coming with their 1.5 litre turbo, which we know we talked about in their season opener. And they also came in with a new tyre manufacturer. So they were throwing everything in the mix, right?
Shake it up.
They might as well have just got 2 drivers that had never driven a car before. Mate, why not? You know?
That's right. So when practice started again, it was Andretti who was the pace setter. He also had use of another Cosworth development engine, which had the aluminium heads.
And most of the other leading runners were in their usual positions, as Watson was again showing his purple patch form, even though he wasn't really landing the points. And while Andretti was to secure pole, Watson would again be second, followed by Hunt and Jody Scheckter.
Ferraris were really struggling on this track, and they were 12th, which was Reutemann, and Lauda in 15th place.
I think they should be really, really struggling.
Yeah.
Not just really struggling.
Not really struggling, yeah.
So there was some interesting drama in the Lotus garage, however, as Andretti was very upset to discover that when he went into the pits to replace some tyres that were sort of chunking up, there had been no spare tyres set aside for him.
What do you mean? Like, there were none there, or?
I don't know. Yeah,
So
unusual.
eventually, Nielsen was called in so his tyres could be swapped out to Andretti.
Wow.
Wow. So what, did he get,
They put his car on
no
bricks.
tyres?
They put his
Yeah.
car on bricks.
Did he get Andretti's old tyres or did he get no tyres? Either way, it's poor Nielsen again.
Yeah.
And in Sweden, like, everyone would have been really upset about that, like, the
I'll make a
crowd would
bet they
just
didn't let the crowd know. I'll make a bet
no
no one was
yeah,
told. This was
no,
revealed after the event, I'm imagining.
yes,
Although I can't
yeah.
see the Swedish fans being aggressive like
No,
but
no,
maybe other countries' fans would be.
this is true.
Without judgment, I say that. So on race day, the crowds really did turn up. They had the, like we talked about, two Swedish drivers winning and best
Yes.
results. And when the race start was given, Watson again beat Andretti off the line. He's a good starter, with Scheckter momentarily getting ahead of the Lotus.
By the end of the lap, though, Andretti had not only protected that position, but he had also outbraked Watson into one of the long turns. Hunt had slotted into fourth place with Stuck next, then Depailler and Nielsen on very bad tyres, apparently.
Well, that was only for the practice though, wasn't it? But
Well, I don't know.
where are the rest of the tyres? Do they have no more for the race? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't understand why they didn't just put some race tyres on Andretti's car.
Something smells wrong, doesn't it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Nielsen wouldn't be long in this race, unfortunately, for on the opening lap, he had been hit from behind by the Ligier of Lafitte, and his nose was damaged as he became airborne and crashed down. He would return to the trace, albeit at the back of the pack. So a bit of rear-ending going on this season.
Yeah. Yeah. So the crowd was no doubt a bit sad that their home hero was essentially out. But then also, Peterson dropped out with ignition troubles.
Well, that's the end.
That's it.
It's
Yeah.
time for the crowd to go home.
Yeah.
So by 10, so there's only lap 10. And this is lap 10 of a 72-lap race. Andretti had a 4-second lead. And behind him, just about every other position in the following pack was pretty much being hotly contested. So very exciting.
Yeah, Watson and Scheckter were battling while Hunt was fighting Depailler for his fourth place. Eventually, there were 7 cars battling for second place.
And a quick side comment, Lauda was having a horrid time of it as he was battling Jarre in the shadow for 12th. In the words of Mike Lang, Lauda finally passed into an unimpressive 12th place.
Man, Lang can be cutting sometimes, very cutting.
At least he's not just targeting Brambilla. Let's give him points for that. Yeah.
Right. So the real attention was on the huge scrap for second place, which was now the main feature of the race, with Watson, Scheckter, Hunt, Depailler, Mas, Lafitte and Reutemann all contenders.
By lap 30, Scheckter in desperation tried to pass Watson in an unusual manner.
Oh, no.
Unusual terminology, so we know trouble's brewing, right?
Something's happening. Yep.
With Watson rightly holding onto the racing line, the pass was never really on, and Scheckter struck Watson's left rear wheel. This bent the Wolf's suspension and sent Watson spinning.
Fortunately, the remaining very closely following cars did not get caught up in that contact. Watson would continue, but at the back of this group, while Scheckter would retire. Hunt was now leading the pack.
Now, I'll just pause here and say Schecter's leading the championship. This is not what a championship leading driver should do. No. They've got to have a little bit of caution because they're trying to win a championship. They're not trying to win that place.
Yes.
Anyway, is this the second race in a row that Watson's been hit from behind? I think it is, right?
He got hit by Andretti.
That's right. He's been really unlucky this year. He's been up there. I hope we reward him the TP. I hope so. Maybe not because we're only just reaching half distance. And although it's not a rule, we have sometimes criticised people if they pick someone before the half distance point. And Paul Watson is being taken out early.
Who would we have criticised, Luigi? I wonder.
Some awesome judges. I don't know.
Yeah. So at half distance, Lafitte in that second place gaggle started to push. He passed Muss on lap 38, ironically in the same location that Scheckter tried to pass Watson. And he did the same to Depailler and then 2 laps later to Hunt. So obviously he was able to do it without hitting anyone.
Yeah, I was about to say, without the hitting part, you needed to add that
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Hunt's tyres were really degrading at this stage, and he found it difficult to hold back the charging Ligier. So Lafitte went from 5th to 2nd in just 4 laps. And he wasn't done because he now started to pull away from that gaggle.
Well, sounds like Lafitte's made some good tyre choices if he had a choice. The gap to Andretti was a large 15 seconds, but he was even starting to slightly close that gap.
Meanwhile, Hunt was struggling more and more with his tyres, and soon Mass and Reutemann had relegated him further back. I'm not sure why he didn't pit, but he probably thought his team couldn't do super fast stops, baby.
No, that's right. So with less than 20 laps remaining, Lafitte was still slightly reducing Andretti's lead, but it was not of any concern to the Lotus team. Things finally started to settle a little.
Until on lap 69, with 3 laps to go, Andretti's leading Lotus raced down the pit lane. Fuel issues. It later turned out that there was a fault with the fuel metering unit, and it was running a much richer fuel mixture than was meant to be.
Oh, so I guess that affected the performance of the car.
Well, it made him run out of fuel.
All that too.
And it probably gave him speed, though, because a richer fuel mixture must be faster.
But going into the pits allowed the following 5 cars to race through, and a delighted Lafitte took the win, with Muss second and Reutemann third.
Yeah, this would be the first ever all-French victory in a World Championship event. Brings back memories to those Gordinis in the 1950s. If only they could be here for this moment in history. So it's
what do you mean,
Lafitte's first ever win.
Oh, like French driver
car,
in a French
engine, French driver. It's in Sweden. Okay. They would have liked it to have been in France, which is the next race. And poor Andretti.
Yes, bad timing.
This time it wasn't his fault. The last race it was his fault. This time it was not his fault. But
no.
Yeah.
All right, so to the leaderboard, we have Scheckter still in the lead on 32, having amassed no points. Lauda on 31. I don't know what happened to Lauda. Did he actually finish this race?
Well, remember he was 12th and unimpressively.
Oh, that's right. He finished it in 12th, yes. Okay.
Oh, I don't know if he finished in 12th. I just know he was in 12th.
12th, yep.
Yeah.
Reutemann on 27, Andretti on 23, and Jochen Muss up into 5th place on 14, but way off the leaders there. Ferrari leading the constructors on 50 points, Lotus second on 34, and Wolff on 32.
Yeah, and Mas more points than Hunt, or ahead of him on the rankings. So it shows that Hunt's really had a tough year with retirements. I'm just having a look. Yeah, lots of retirements scattered all through that season. Not a good year for McLaren. So we're up to the 9th race of the season, the French Grand Prix at Dijon-Prenois. 3rd of July, 80 laps, and the weather was hot. So with a modified layout, the track was now marginally longer at 3.8 kilometres. And as such, there was a drama relating to how many drivers would be permitted, because that's a pretty short track, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. 3.8 kilometres. That is very short. Yes. In the end, after some litigation threats, so Formula One political.
Of course,
all drivers were allowed to practice, with only the top 22 making it to the race. So they had a qualifying time, I guess. This made the first practice session a frantic affair.
Yeah, didn't they make a rule a few years ago that they were allowing a certain number of cars to start the race?
Yeah.
Depending on the length of the track, but it still seems that they've forgotten that and they have to re-argue it and have litigation threats. So back to the old days, I guess, back to the old Monaco days when they had issues all the time. So there was one particularly difficult left-right sequence that was causing the most dramas for the cars. And most of them suffered horrendous understeer going in and then really bad oversteer on the way out. But not all the cars had this issue.
All right. I need to understand this oversteer, understeer. Again, how can you have both? I thought you either had an understeer issue or an oversteer issue. But here we have going in to a corner, understeer, and coming out, oversteer. We got to ask one of our...
The track must be driving it a bit. You know, the track must be putting the angles and the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ask one of our mechanical friends, Luigi.
How that can happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Lotus duo, though, handled this sequence with total ease. Remember, their ground force car was very good in corners at the moment. So Hunt in the McLaren was the only one who was in the same class as the Lotus pair. Interesting.
And of interest was that as Larry Perkins in the Surtees was not looking like he would qualify, the team asked him to step aside for Patrick Tambay to make his F1 debut. How's
that's harsh.
How's that for the confidence?
Poor Larry Perkins. No wonder he switched codes.
Back to supercars in Australia.
That's right.
and win many championships.
He did. He was very, very, very successful in that. So when the final practice session for qualifying started, Hunt in the McLaren sent a blistering time and looked set for pole. It was Andretti who waited for the last 5 minutes of the session to go out and set a series of blistering times to take pole by half a second. That's huge. Half a second, Luigi.
Yeah, and he timed it as well.
Not half a tenth, half a second.
Yeah, that's quite a big gap. Nielsen was third, so he's up there too, followed by Watson in the Brabham. And how can Nielsen also be in fourth? So there must be some error there from me. My apologies. So the Ferraris were a little bit better this race than previous races, and they were 6th and 9th, but still not that great. And Scheckter, is he still the championship leader?
Yes,
he's way down in 8th.
Wow. Okay. Let me just check who did you say? Nielsen.
I said Nielsen was. I'd love it if you said Nielsen was 3rd and 4th. I'd love it if you said that.
Nielsen was 3rd, Watson 4th, Lafitte 5th.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So a big crowd turned up on Sunday as everyone was eager to see if Lafitte, who qualified 5th, as I just said, and the winner of Sweden could achieve the ultimate French dream. So this is the French team winning in France with the French engine and the French car and the French driver. Vive la France.
Yeah. And that French crowd would be happy because when the race started, Hunt made a great start to leap into the lead. Poleman Andretti developed too much wheel spin and he was beaten into the first corner by Watson and Lafitte, who both made amazing starts. So Lafitte made a place.
It's a good start by him. The drama in the first lap was a coming together between Reutemann in the Ferrari and Mas in the McLaren, which essentially put them both out of the race.
That's not good for those.
That one was, Yeah,
but not much detail there. So in the lead, Hunt was having a tough time holding the lead though, as he had Watson right on his tail, and Andretti was now on Watson's tail, having quickly dispatched Lafitte's Ligier. So this trio started to pull away from the 4th placed Lafitte and the 5th placed Nielsen.
By lap 5, Watson pulled out of Hunt's slipstream and moved into the lead. But he didn't just take the lead, he quickly pulled out a 2-second lead. Such was his pace.
Bit out of the nowhere, is it? This Brabham. I mean, Watson's been up there all year, but he hasn't looked like he had this in hand. You know what I mean? So it was Andretti's turn to now get past Hunt. But try as he might, it took him 12 laps to finally get past Hunt's defences. I get the feeling Hunt's very good at defending. He does it a lot, right? And by the time he did, Watson was already 5 seconds up the road in the lead.
I reckon he had to learn those skills in the Hesketh because the Hesketh didn't have good speed, but Hunt was he was a good driver and he knew how to put that car into good defensive places. So I think the Hesketh years developed those skills for him, I feel. That's my theory and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Meanwhile, further back, a name we haven't talked about for a little while, Lauda, who qualified 9th, was on a charge and he was now catching the dueling pair of Lafitte and Nielsen, who was still in 4th and 5th places.
Meanwhile, at the front, Watson was retaining his 5-second lead ahead of Andretti, while Andretti himself was pulling away from Hunt, and little changed until the halfway mark of the race.
Yes, Andretti was starting to close the gap to Watson as Watson was getting slowed down by lapping the midfield runners. By lap 50 of 80, the gap was down to 3.5 seconds, and by lap 60, they were together.
I'm actually a little surprised it took him this long because remember Andretti was hooked up on this track.
Yes.
While it's not a key defining moment of the race, there was some drama further back as Stuck in the other Brabham was for reasons known only to himself, refusing to let Lafitte lap him despite the many blue flags shown. So there were blue flags. This went on for lap after lap and even Nielsen passed Lafitte, but Stuck refused to move aside.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of when
Regazzoni
wouldn't let Fittipaldi past and there was blue, I think there was like lots and lots of blue flags, and then
Well,
he got pulled
he
in
got
for
a black flag with
he got a
the
black yeah.
cross.
No,
Yeah.
he just got black flagged for like that was the first stop and go penalty, I think, that we
Inadvertently.
yes.
Yeah. And they argued.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
And he kept driving, and then they withdrew
Yes.
him. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was very funny.
It was very funny. So back to this though, Stuck half spun, and while Nielsen took avoiding action, Lafitte clouted Stuck's Brabham, and his race was over.
That would have upset the French crowd, especially if they saw Lafitte being blocked by this driver that was trying to be lapped, you know? Wow. So now the top two positions were Watson leading with a closely following Andretti, then Hunt, Nielsen, Lauda and Reutemann.
2 Ferraris, they're back. So with 10 laps remaining, Andretti was desperately trying to find a way past Watson, but Watson was driving superbly. And Andretti was quickly coming to the realisation that second was his best option.
That's because Andretti's thinking of a championship. He's not being like Scheckter, and just doing a dive bomb all or nothing, So much so that when Watson and Andretti lapped Reutemann in the Ferrari, Watson started to pull away again until the start of the last lap.
Suddenly, the Alfa Romeo engine started to splutter. It had used up all of its fuel, and quick as a flash, Andretti was alongside him, almost touching wheels. Then the Alfa engine hesitated again, and that was all Andretti needed to take the lead, and seconds later, the checkered flag.
I can only imagine the words Watson said while in that car in that helmet. They wouldn't be allowed to be said on the podcast.
No.
So bitterly disappointed, Watson managed to bring his Brabham to the finish line, 1.5 seconds behind Andretti, and he pulled up right past the finish line. It was later found that the mechanics had even added 3 extra gallons of fuel to the Brabham based on the poorest fuel consumption in practice. So even that wasn't enough.
Wow. So it was actually the engine that was using too much fuel, not the driver that was pushing too hard then. Wow. So in third came Hunt, and 35 seconds further back, Nielsen, Lauda and Reutemann. Wow. So Scheckter he's lost his championship lead. We've got Niki Lauda on 33, outright leader. Where was he he was way down he was third or fourth in the previous race. So yeah, Lauda's in the lead. Andretti and Scheckter are second on 32 points each. And third is Reutemann on 28.
Yeah, that's only 5 points between the top 4 drivers. And you've got the challenge here. You've got Mario Andretti, who's got like a number 2. And Jody Scheckter, I don't even know if he's got a teammate. I certainly haven't heard anyone else driving a Wolf this season.
No.
And so Ferrari are divvying their points up a little bit. Dangerous.
Yes, they're taking points away from each other. So in the constructors, we have Ferrari in the lead on 50, Lotus second on 43, and Wolf third on 32. Let me just look up who the other Wolf driver is. No, it's just Scheckter. He's the only one. So that's pretty good because Wolf's third on 32, and that's all Scheckter.
He's doing well.
All right.
That's the end of that, I think.
We're going to call it. Yes, that was a good episode. And we'll be back for part 5.
And the British Grand Prix. Everyone loves that one.
Grand Prix, yes.
Most of the time we love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.